They have evolved.
Yeah, they like to make stuff that almost sounds wrong.
If I hit shuffle on my phone and that came up, I would be a little frightened.
How long does it go on like that?
That's 4 minutes, but they have entire, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're super unpredictable.
I don't know how many monthly Spotify listeners these people have now, but they're gonna have one more after today.
The internet has given us access to more music than ever before. Some artists are beloved.
I love that. That's awesome.
Some, not so much.
What is happening?
I liked it better when they weren't singing.
But now there is a place to separate the garbage from the good, the alluring from the ordinary.
It rides the cusp perfectly for me.
The things your ears may not be ready to hear.
So intensely music that it's almost not even music.
Hosted at the WINO studios in Anytown, USA. This is Z-Sides.
You're listening to the Midnight Happy Hour on WINO, where we've got all the smoothest instrumental tunes for you to sip on. Up next, we've got Frank Zappa with Black Napkins, but first, a word from those sponsors. You ever think it's a bad idea to play exclusively long-form, deep-cut instrumental music?
No.
Hello? Oh, yep. Really? Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah, understood.
Who was that?
That was the boss. He says the show sucks, he hates it, and if we can't turn things around by the end of the night, the show's canceled.
That's horrible. What are we gonna do?
I don't know, maybe the format of entirely instrumental music is holding us back a little bit.
Hold on. The format is gold, okay? But we can switch it up if you're really worried about it. We could take like requests from callers and no exceptions.
That's genius. Now hold on, I'm back in 5. Welcome back, everyone, to the Midnight Happy Hour. I've got Black Napkins queued and ready to go. But first, we're letting you all know that for the rest of the broadcast, we're taking open requests. Any song, any artist. Nothing's too weird, nothing's off limits. Give us a ring. Now we wait. You ever wonder if it's all worth it? I mean... Hello, caller, you're on the air. What tunes are your ears thirsty for?
Hey man, just a long-time listener, first-time caller. Wondering if I could hear some Guerilla Toss.
Guerilla Toss was a choice. I just randomly... We were talking about artists that would like fit into this sort of thing, and I gave you 2. I gave you The Witches, and then I gave you Guerilla Toss. And it was, I remember the text you sent me was, Guerilla Toss is worth talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember. I at the time, I was listening to him on Spotify Shuffle, so it was whatever Spotify felt like throwing at me. So yeah, how did you find Guerilla Toss? Because you're the Guerilla Toss guy here.
I really started listening to them in 2019 when What Would the Odd Do came out. But into the songs that we chose, song selection. So the first one we went with Heathen in Me.
Heathen in Me off their their newest album.
Yeah, so Pat and I agree that their newest album is not their best. But when it first came out, I remember like not really caring for it. But we chose Heathen in Me because after like going back and re-listening to it, probably the most poppy song.
Probably. I mean, this whole album is much more traditional pop.
When you said Guerilla Toss, I think we were gonna get like some angry I didn't expect neon trees.
This is not the sound I anticipated from guerrilla warfare. This is much closer to something that I would listen to.
It sounds like you're walking through Tilly's at the mall, but I like it.
A lot of weird dissonant notes. It almost sounds like it's out of key.
This feels like early 90s pop, maybe. I'm gonna download this one when we're done here.
I actually really like some of the more gimmicky instrumentation in it. The 80s synth drums. Love it.
That little riff is like really neat.
I would say the guitars are a little too fuzzy actually for this kind of sound, I think. It's interesting. It sounds like the slightest bit lo-fi, like I could see it being self-produced, but like excellently self-produced.
It wasn't anything super revolutionary, but it did give me like really similar vibes to kind of the like hyper girl pop that's popular today, like a Sabrina Carpenter, like Chappell Roan kind of vibe, and I really appreciated that.
It's still definitely not, you know, just straight pop. Like there's still a little bit of that Guerilla Toss,
Yeah.
you know, tilt to it, but it's played much straighter here.
It's just catchy, honestly.
It's catchy.
It's really catchy.
Is it your favorite off
Famously Alive.
Famously Alive? Thank you.
It might be. I don't know. It's grown on me because I listen to it a lot. The second choice was clearly the right choice.
Yes.
We initially had Moth Like Me in this spot, right?
Yes.
And I'm glad that we changed it.
So Moth Like Me is obviously your favorite. I also love
that song.
It's a great song. I was listening to, I think what really pushed me to kind of say, what if we did this, was not only that it's their most listened to song,
Yes,
but
that's
also,
a huge
that's a huge factor. But also, I was listening to it in the car, and my son was just grooving to Can I Get the Real Stuff? And I'm like, maybe there's some more, you know, maybe there's enough here that we need to, you know, put it in the roster.
Feels like it's gonna be like a Macklemore song.
I feel like I'm about to hear like some early 2000s hip hop, like this kind of beat.
Right now it's like if Macklemore and U2 mashed, like if they got the edge. And now it's like slappy bass.
I like this. This is like Wet Leg.
This is gonna be the most unhinged thing I've ever said, but what if Captain Beefheart was a girl synth pop band?
This is an interesting flute section.
Yeah, they like to make stuff that almost sounds wrong. Yeah, no, this is good.
I like this more than the first one.
It's definitely been the most fun to listen to.
Like, that was right on the edge of, like, listenable, but also really goddamn weird.
I mean, I don't know how many monthly Spotify listeners these people have now, but they're gonna have one more after today.
Can I Get the Real Stuff was a real hit.
Everyone loved it.
That's the biggest thing. Everyone loved it. It makes sense why it's their most streamed song. I mean, it's not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination. It's probably not even my favorite off that album.
I'm a dog in the mirror guy.
The third song, we had to put in a little bit because honestly, most of Guerilla Toss's discography is really noisy.
Really, the first half.
So I knew Guerilla Toss as that like quirky sort of like
A quirky pop
rock band, yeah. And then you quickly discovered
that they have this whole noise subcategory that they started in.
But the one that we went with was off of Kicked Back Into the Crypt. It was a album that they did in collaboration with Sediment Toss. Guerilla Toss has the first 3 songs. It's called Drip Decay. Drip Decay was also in on the debut album. The reason why I went with that version is because I much prefer that version. The self-titled stuff is
the recording's rough.
Yeah, and not in a good way.
No, it doesn't feel like raw, or it
feels too busy, too cluttered. Yeah.
And the music is already cluttered and busy by design.
But
so it's a head on a hat.
They have evolved. So some noise rock stuff.
This feels like Yoko Ono performance art.
Yeah, remember how I said that it's like Captain Beefheart, but like a synthy girl pop band? Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could be the kind of person who like appreciates music as an art form and stuff like that, but I feel like if I hit shuffle on my phone and that came up, I would be a little frightened.
Yeah, it's like definitely like Sonic Youth, like early Sonic Youth kind of stuff. Yeah, just even the guitar parts now, like that's such a like Thurston Moore kind of thing.
Yeah, they really mellowed out their sound a little bit.
It gives me really much similar vibes to stuff like that, or like I don't know, like maybe not like Western music, you know, like something closer to that you'd find in like an indigenous community.
How long does it go on like that?
That's 4 minutes.
That I appreciate it. It's probably not something that I would listen to. I know there are some freakazoids where like that's their thing.
In terms of like something that I'd casually listen to in the car, it was not for me, no.
I have been listening to that in the car.
I believe that.
That's one of my favorites. It's really good. You described it as the noise version of freeform jazz, I believe.
Yeah, it really felt like everyone was doing their own thing in kind of that, like the freeform jazz kind of way where everyone has a rough concept going in of, we'll play in B, we'll do something, but everyone's sort of doing their own thing and finding the song along the way. It felt like that, but like the alt pop version, I guess, where they were finding the music as they went. I know that they probably weren't, but that's what it felt like.
It's kind of amazing that they're able to perform something that is that
right
disjointed. I think I was more into that stuff than you were. Is that the determination that we came to?
Yeah, I mean, I was in not a great place to listen to that kind of stuff. I was just really stressed, and when you're stressed and you're listening to noise music, it's like, all right, I gotta put it down.
See, I'm the opposite. I love it.
Now we get to the last song.
Yeah, the last one was The Surprise. We went with Come Up With Me. It's one of my favorites.
Big nostalgic soft spot for you.
I mean, it's like the first song by them I heard. And people did not like it nearly as much as I thought they would.
I feel like I'm listening to Madonna now.
This little bit sounds like it should be in like a mascot platformer from the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, they're super unpredictable.
Give me more of that grimy guitar, please.
That guitar tone is something else. I mean, I like it.
Like, I know this is not the correct word, but this is kind of cute. A cute little song.
This gives me the vibe of like when these people were starting out and they were like making their music in their bedrooms and their parents came in and were like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "It's art, Mom."
I like the singer a lot. She's got a great voice. There's a total contrast between like the monotonous vocals and the guitars just spazzing out, but it's great. It works.
I was a fan, and I probably will be listening to Guerilla Toss.
I love it. I'm gonna go listen to more of that later. Like, that was really good.
I think I like this less than the first two. But I think that's mostly because I think it's kind of repetitive. Like, it's spending a lot of time in this one, like, melody.
Yeah, I like it. It's funny, that one I actually felt was the most forgettable of the bunch. I think my favorite of the bunch was the second song.
So, a bit about the band. Formed in Boston. The singer, Cassie Carlson, she was in like a different noise band. Guerilla Toss at the time was actually like a jazz band. which makes a lot of sense when you consider like the musicianship. Those two groups joined in 2012, and one of the core members, if you will. They have really 3 core members now. They've had a rotating bass player and a rotating keyboardist.
Do they put them on like a pedestal and then that turns?
Yeah. Peter Negroponte and is the drummer.
Okay.
And guitarist Ariane Shafi. I think 2013 is their earliest music. That's like gay disco. That's God, I'm trying to remember the other stuff.
They're self-titled.
The self-titled, weirdly enough, isn't on their official website.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Neither is Kicked Back into the Crypt. So some other fun facts about the band. There's a lot of nudity in their live shows, apparently, when they were
Getting started.
One of the things I cannot find this confirmed anywhere. I sent an email to Guerilla Toss asking if they could confirm that this is in fact a thing, but there's a article out published around, I want to say 2016, saying that the band was like crowdfunding a self-made pornographic rock opera in which they were going to make the music for pornographic movies, which the band members themselves were starring in, which is an insane idea.
In terms of getting yourself out there, like, hey, did you hear about the pornographic opera?
They were really looking for more exposure. I mean, several EPs, couple albums. Things really don't start getting poppy, really until GT Ultra. Like Eraser Stargazer, I wouldn't call. Eraser Stargazer makes sense, yeah. Eraser Stargazer is like, you have to get from...
In the moon phase, it is the crescent of pop versus we've kind of come around. And so my favorite is previously mentioned from their full lengths is GT Ultra. Yeah, I mean my favorites off those are Dog in the Mirror. Can I Get the Real Stuff? I mean that song is fun. It is almost danceable, which is, given how their music is, that's an accomplishment. Like,
you're not going to be dancing to a Diamond Girls necessarily.
For me, it's the right blend of their weirder noise stuff with their pop rock stuff. It's it rides the cusp perfectly for me. I like some up-tempo tunes that really rip through, like where you're like, all right. The drums all throughout GT Ultra, very fun.
Was it you who said there's a lot of like B-52s in there?
Yeah, like vocally and
yes,
a lot of
the first song is very sounds. Yeah.
A lot of the synth and guitar tone just kind of speak to that kind of, specific surfy poppy sort of song.
Oh, and TV Do Tell is fantastic. That is like another one where it's like, this is so 80s, like new wave, sort of early new wave stuff. All right, I'm going to talk about What Would the Odd Do. It's amazing. This is like, for me, what you were saying about the perfect combination of weird and catchy. This is my perfect combination of weird and catchy. When you get to What Would the Odd Do, things are very theatrical, very large, larger than life. And mixing that with whatever the hell's going on in Moth Like Me is amazing.
There's no misses. Like you listen straight through, there's no duds.
I want to give a very special shout out to Zumhers. If I had heard Zumhers earlier, I would have pushed for that to be in the rotation when we did the reactions. I think I heard it like a day or two after we had, not that we had done them, that we had like cemented the lineup. And I was like, I'm not going to blow this up.
Because you and I have trouble deciding on these lines.
Yes, it's a long process. There's lots of civil arguing.
As I've kind of joked with you, the Venn diagram of our music taste, it's not two circles, it's two kind of amoebas that touch in a few places but don't in others.
And not where you would expect.
Right.
It was like part of like a new like tribute album. It's not a new song. It's a new song, not a new song.
Okay.
If you get what I'm saying.
I think I do.
Flood Dose, Smack the Brick, Infinite Cat Series, and Gay Disco. I mean, it's not the same sounding stuff, but it's similar sounding. And I like it. You know, I like it, but it's definitely less dynamic than their later stuff.
I will say Gay Disco is kind of a letdown for me because I was coming off of their later stuff, and you see a title called Gay Disco, and it's like, okay, we're gonna get some kind of disco, bass licks in there, some real like twangy, plucky bass lines, and it's like, okay, not really.
It's just noise.
It's
just noise.
just a little touch of the disco influence in there, because I don't want a disco album. But if you got some disco synth and disco bass line...
But it's not disco, Pat. It's gay disco.
I feel like disco's already pretty gay.
Yeah.
Like in a good way.
It's like new Coke, you know? They're trying to make a new recipe, and it failed.
Gay Disco by Guerilla Toss is
It's
truly the new Coke of disco. It is one of those groups where, like, if you sit and, go like, okay, this time, on this listen through, I'm going to only focus on the guitars. It's easy to miss how much, just what each instrument is pulling weight-wise in a song.
I like music that challenges me. I like music to sound like nothing I've heard before. You can hear the influences, but it's clearly its own thing.
Right.
You can't get what you're getting from Guerilla Toss anywhere else, in my opinion.
And that's why you should listen to them.
Yeah.
I'd say give them a shot. If you want a place to start, obviously we're recommending What Would the Odd Do is kind of, you think that's the best place to start?
That or GT Ultra.
If you're a little more vanilla and what we're describing is not something you want to listen to, it might not be our favorite, but give Famously Alive a listen.
Yes, at least Heathen in Me. Go listen to Guerilla Toss.
Do it.
Next time on Z-Sides.
Oh yeah, I have all 3 EPs and the full length on Stereo 8 right here.
You could have told me this was on the Five Nights at Freddy's soundtrack and I would have believed you.
It has moments of genius in it. It's just too weird.
I've done acid a couple times. This sounds like what that feels like.